We are back. Mama Bima Kenya.
Angela Hiuhu.
Did you catch our first episode? If not, just pause the video, go back to the very first episode where we tackled what is the value of money. Then you can come and continue with today's episode. So this is Dada Finance. We are a platform for helping you self-discover on money matters and for promoting financial literacy. So Angie?
Yeah, gladly. It's good to be here again.
Yeah.
So like she said, if you didn't watch part 1, just run back, pause and watch. And in part 1, Mama Bima confessed without any gun on her, yes, exactly, that she overshops. It's one of the things we were talking about. What habits have you picked up because of what happened to you in the past?
Yes.
And luckily for her, she's accepted that she overshops.
And really, Angie, I'm really thinking about it because yes, I do. I overshop.
Absolutely.
I tend to put snacks that I don't need, snacks that my baby cannot finish, snacks that I don't even
enjoy or even
crisps
eat. Absolutely. Yeah.
I also tend to overshop also on foodstuffs. So now I accept I have a problem.
Absolutely, yeah.
What next?
And just to go back to that point, if you didn't watch our first episode, we're trying to bring into surface the things that affect how we spend our money. And luckily for you, there are only so many meals we cook within our homesteads.
Yes.
Because, well, we were not raised with very many options. Absolutely. So you can do a calculation in a week. How many, give or take, how many onions would I need? How many kgs of, the whole 9 yards of your vegetables? And then the next time you're shopping, now you're being guided by the things you know from your studies. For that 1 week, this is what we consume. So the next time you're shopping, you are more aware, you're more cognizant of what's going on. So before you put that packet, you either be riding yourself to the guilt path or you're not listening to yourself. But we've accepted, now we know. So what do you do about it? Now we have a list. You know that for every week you need X kgs of onions, of tomatoes, of hohos, of your vegetables, your variety. Maybe you buy spinach and nobody eats spinach anymore in your house. So at the end of the week, you're still finding, and things change. With a young child, things keep on changing because their taste keeps on changing. So you have to be on top of your game. Money matters is not something you relegate to somebody else. You have to be at the front of it all. So now that you know, do you put it into action? Do you say, I like perfumes?
Yes.
Do you unfollow all those pages in IG because you know they're influencing you and you specifically target just a specific shop when you know they have offers? Are you a techno dude where every time there's an upgrade you want, every time something as small as resolution, which really doesn't make a difference? I mean, if I watch a movie with a resolution pixel of as 1 pixel lower than you, I'll still have the same thing, the enjoyment, but is it worth spending that 30,000 difference? So how does our acceptance influence our decision? How do we deal with our perceptions? You will, for example, I was raised by a father who, it was easier to get water out of a rock than money out of him. Of course, things have softened and my younger sister has a way easier time than I had. And in a way that cultured me because I can derive value out of a 5 bob that you wouldn't believe, but it's what I've been taught. So once we accept, then how do we change those perceptions? Do you now pen and paper? I always advertise this, I'm a pen and paper girl. You have to do pen and paper. You accept, this is who I am. What do you do about it? Are you going to talk to someone about it? Are you going to get an accountability person? And be like, so this is how I spent my budget. This is what I wanted to do. This is what I did. And forgive yourself. We're human beings. You'll still find yourself putting those packets of crisps, but it's about self-growth. If you don't allow yourself to be patient with yourself to start with and to walk with yourself in that journey, criticism won't take you too far off. So just because you've eaten fries and you're on a diet and you had said you won't eat fries for X number of days, does that mean it's all doomed? So lick your wounds, learn your lesson, and let's go on. But how do you ensure that it's not a repetitive thing? That those mistakes you keep on making Do not erode that thing that you're trying to make. And the only thing you can do that is through accountability. And it comes through many forms, like I've said. It could be a budget that you strictly adhere to, and when you don't, you know how to rectify it. Because money grows, it's here, it isn't. So you can't have a fixed budget. You have to be open to ideas, open to growth, open to suggestions, open to that other thing that you didn't know about, open to a different way of thinking. So how do you curate that?
Now, Angie, we'll come back to that.
Absolutely.
Huh? So you're talking, and it's really taking me back. Money for me also comes with some sort of pain.
Yeah.
Because of the lack of it, especially in the past.
Yeah.
And I think one of my biggest weaknesses sometimes is actually taking up too much financial burden, even more than you can handle. You get? Although somehow I still make ends meet.
Yeah.
You get? Because I end up either overworking, and fortunately I'm in the kind of industry where sort of like hard work equates to what's coming in.
Absolutely.
Okay,
it's one for one.
Yes, I'm able to still build my income and get something extra. But because I feel I'm seated with a financial therapist right now. So I don't want to waste this opportunity.
Yeah.
So for someone like me, where you are almost like a compulsive sort of like provider.
Absolutely.
Like, where do you start? Like, where? Because you've already taken up so much.
Yeah.
Really, you don't want, and you know you're having a positive impact. You know, like you are providing, and sometimes
it's too late to turn back.
Yes, it's too late to turn back. And right now, when you say it, I'm looking back and thinking, I can see the gaps, you know, in my past where maybe.
And you're trying to plug.
Yes, I'm trying. Probably, I think that if only maybe this had been provided. So I'm trying to do that now for other people right now.
Absolutely.
Like,
can I ask you something?
Yes.
If you died today, I know, and God forbid, what would happen?
I know the answer to that. I know we'll say life will move on.
So why do you ride yourself to the wall for that? How can you work around it? So you are in acceptance, and you have agreed, this is who I am for X, Y reasons. But should it be at a cost for you? Should it be that you're overworking, you have a young family, you have a young daughter? Don't you also want to spend time with her and grow? If you find yourself that more than half of what you're working for doesn't go into you, then you need to ask yourself some serious questions. While I'm not saying it's a bad thing that you have dependents, it's a good thing. I mean, that means you are changing, you're looking to change a whole dynasty of people behind you. And you could be that torchbearer. You are that torchbearer, I mean. So I'm not saying withdraw it, but what does that mean to you specifically? Are you going to drive yourself nuts working hard for this? And those fruits might not even come for you. I know we are a Christian-based people as Africans where we believe in helping each other. And I'm not saying don't help, but what if it's affecting you? What if you find yourself working for more than 9 hours in a day and it's affecting the relationship that you have with your spouse or your child because you're trying to change for other people that are not your direct family? How do you safeguard yourself on that? Do you change your planning? Do you have an honest conversation with these people who are depending on you? Do you create avenues for them to start earning a sort of income to reduce the dependency on you? Do you limit this help? You'll be like, okay, guys, when I started this thing, I was helping one person and that was manageable and I didn't have a young family. But I have a young family that demands my time and my resources. I have a business that I'm trying to grow that demands the same. I'm not saying I won't help you, but can we sit down and discuss how this is sustainable? How can we both get there? And I hope the people who you support are thankful and they really, but you really have to, just like we said, what value is there? Can you be honest with these people and tell them, this month is difficult, guys? Can they quantify the money you give them? Or are they living a better life than you are? Can you break it down and tell them, this is what is going to happen this month. This is how much I can spend, because obviously you're changing, your needs are changing, your demands are changing. You're a young mom, so you don't have that energy either. They have more energetic than you. Do you push things towards them that are not necessarily hard cash? It's soft cash in terms of opportunities, in terms of things you could do on the internet to earn you an extra kick, and you reduce. Am I changing the way you think even about yourself in ways you can expand yourself? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so the thing is, and your help does not have to translate to money at the end of the day. You'd be surprised. So how do you help them budget?
Concept of soft cash.
Yeah.
Because I've probably let money be the main commodity of exchange, you know, but I think I could also add, add value in terms of maybe the opportunities, and having those conversations, you know, and also being honest about even my own position, you know, because sometimes you're probably getting crushed, but you're still, you know, just at trying, you keep going at it. So
imagine if you could sit with your dependents and ask them, so what are you guys thinking? So I know you're in third year doing IT.
Yes.
Have you started looking for gigs? Have you started looking for things you could do on the side? Is there anything you'd want me to push through? What are you looking at currently that I can push you through? And imagine if it's girls who are in a space in their life where they don't know what's right or left and they're swinging with the wind. How do you ground them? That is better than cash at any one day. That is better than you paying their school fees. I'm not saying paying school fees is not a bad thing, but imagine if beyond the cash, you still had that bond. It'd be like, okay, so tell me what's going on in your life. How is school? So how do you think this will plug and play to what you want to do? How about this? Have you looked at this option? I saw this. What do you think? Would that work for you? So what can you do about it? Have you started doing your CVs? Can we look through it? What do you think about these different formats? So exposure makes all the difference in this young life. That is what breaks down it for you. If it's someone in the village, like we say, teach a man to fish and you've sorted him for the rest of the life.
Yes.
If you give him fish, you're only sorting him out for that period of time. How do you empower them? It doesn't have to be financial. If it's you're trying to rear a cow back at home, how do you reduce the time he's spending cutting grass? Do you buy him equipment and he can make a chaff cutter, and now we reduce the time he's spending to, you know, how do you teach him what needs to be done for that cow to increase productivity? How do you tell your mom, I know you want this cow, but look at how much you're spending and just how many liters your output. It's not making sense, mom. How about we do this? We can't suffer the same things our parents did. They took us to school. We are more educated. So we deal, we accept, we've accepted. I'm doing X because of Y. Accept those perceptions. It's my life. There is nothing wrong with that. I don't have to hide it from whoever it is. It's you. Bear it with all the courage. But from that, what is your action? Step to step. Write it down. Have an accountability. You will barely go any far without an accountability. It could be in the form of anybody. Something on your calendar that reminds you, today is your day to check weight. Today is the day to check your savings or what you did. It could be a partner, somebody who you entrust. It could be a financial coach. It could be somebody, it could be even your sibling. So what are you doing? So we said we're buying a car. How far are we at that?
Yes.
They will keep you in check. And honesty is such a beautiful, rare thing. If I'm not honest, if I'm not vulnerable, then how will you be able to help me? If you ask me, what's going on? I thought we are dieting, but why is your fridge full of ice cream? If I can't tell you I was having such a rough time, so what's going on? And in that element, in a way, you've sorted that out. Will I go back to buy that ice cream again? We've dealt. So you, again, the environment, the people you surround yourself with, really, really, really change who you are. They didn't lie when they said, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. And in this era of life that we live in where everything is so vain, everything is vanity, including friends, including the relationships. How do you curate honest people around you? How to make sure that the environment you are in is a safe environment for you, that you don't go back home and you're so pissed at your husband for reasons he doesn't know, just because your babe, the husband, did X for her. But it's not even something you enjoy. But the fact that she was done for.
And the comparison is now running in your head.
Exactly. So we have to be so aware that you know what to let in and what not to let in. If you can't develop that sense of self-awareness, if you can develop yourself to a sense of maturity or to a sense of self-growth, then you will always be drenched by whatever it is. Is it the society? Is it the comparison? Is it you want to be, yet it's not even something you enjoy? So if you are not honest with yourself, there's only so much you can go. So the whole point of this conversation is, let's be honest with one another, especially with yourself before it goes to one another. And honesty means, I don't need to know every single shilling you do, but you have M-Pesa. How about you review every month? What are my charges? And did I even have to? What was the point of all that? And how do you learn out of that? So I was supposed to do X. I was supposed to reduce my groceries like this. I haven't. Why have I not? No need to beat yourself down, but keep on learning. It's always a learning growth process. If you're not open to learning, then what's the point? If you don't enjoy the money you make, what's the point of struggling for it? You're stuck in traffic almost collectively, 3 hours or 2 hours in a day? What is the point? You never get to enjoy this money. And when you do, no offense, it's over a bottle that you have no value of. So even in your honesty, how do you create a sense of the things you enjoy? If money wasn't a thing, and if you were told to live as happy as you could, what does that involve? Does that mean you dressing up in a nightgown and you feel sexy and just pour some perfume on your bed? Is that makes you happy? Or a nice long shower if you can afford the water bill?
Yes.
You know? Or is it a nice meal that you've tried that you haven't tried in a while? Yes. Or is it cycling? But what is your happiness? And is you chasing this money coming in the middle of all that? And how do you create awareness again, such that you don't lose your soul in search of this money? And as you try to you put on a fast bed, you keep on treating that ailment, and you treat the symptom instead of treating the disease. So it's a rat race. You keep at it. You don't want to resolve the fact that you starved at some point, and now all you want to see is food. You don't necessarily eat this food, and you keep on wasting it, and you don't want to resolve that. So if you don't open yourself to growth, then what is the point? You're going to be stuck in that rat race for so long, and you're going to be wondering, where did my money go at the end of the month?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Angie.
Yeah.
Even for the sake of someone who's watching, just especially when it comes to budgeting, you know, because I also feel that now, do I stick to a budget? Yes, I do have a budget.
That's good.
It's just that I could actually sort of do with a little tweaking here and there.
And that's how it should be. You
know, that food budget can considerably come down, like whatever I have apportioned, you know, the food, even the transport, you know, this moving from, you know, in an Uber for what, a kilometer or two? Not 2, a kilometer.
Yes, chap. It's not more than 200 bob.
So yes, I'm actually, but I want, for the sake of someone who's viewing,
absolutely,
could you just touch on the budget just a little bit?
Oh, sure thing. I think the first thing to note is my budget is not your budget.
True.
For obvious reasons. Our needs are different, our wants are different, our income is different. Yes. So what works for me doesn't work for you. But the principles is what we should be looking at here. So the principles is, what do you have coming in as your income? Is it your current? Is it your passive? Whatever it is, you define as income. And what are your expenses? And these expenses can be from here to God knows wherever. Yes. So this is what we need to balance, because this barely changes. So we look at growing our income, and our income means how do we, apart if you're an 8 to 5 person, how do you grow that? Because this will barely grow unless you're either being promoted or you're getting a pay raise. So how do you grow that? And then obviously it's just through investing. For a fast, like if you're starting out, investing is obviously the first channel of growing your income. So how do you create your passive income on the income side? As for expenses, that's where we all need to be critical. We all need to introspect. Yes. We all need to be honest. So on your expenses, how do you differentiate between your needs, your wants, your preferences? Like we asked on the first topic, on your first session, is a 13,000 perfume really that necessary? Is a bag, a Chanel bag, just because it looks beautiful and it will go with a certain outfit you have in your wardrobe, is it that important? So how do you categorize that? There are obviously those expenses you can't run away from. Your rent, your utilities, there's nothing you can do about that. Your food, those are things we just, there's nothing we can do about that. And if you read a lot of budgeting, they will say something like your rent or income should not be more than 30% of your income, which is fine, and that's fine. That's an acceptable rate, so to say. But if you're working in town, and your 30% only allows you to live, say, in a place like, for lack of a better distance, a place like, let's say, Donholm, and there's always traffic on Jogo Road. So you'll spend about, give or take, 2 hours to and from morning and evening for this 30%, and your fare is about another 5%. So you're spending 35%, while you could get a closer place near to town, and this will bring you to about 32%. Your quality of life improves, the time you're spending on the road decreases, and even on the overall, the time, the money you're spending also reduces. So do not have an idea, have your checkpoints, like check, but it doesn't mean you stick to it. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. You're not going to be those people who wake up at 5 a.m. to get to work at 8 o'clock. And then you have to wait for 8 p.m. so that line imepungua, so that you're able to catch. Evaluate this thing. So with a budget, the most critical thing to know is we've discovered what your income is. We've discovered what your needs are, the ones that we can't run away from. So you first deal with that. That's the most critical element. So rent, fine, they've told us to spend 30, but like we've said, is it making sense or not? 2, food. You're not feeling well. You have a lifestyle, okay, maybe not even a lifestyle. You have a hereditary issue. Are you going to live in a place that has no market access to you just because you've been told food is 5%? So check your figures. It's something you play with. It takes time to finance, but once you get a hang of it, you are set. So with time, there are those principalities that you must follow. Your 30%, your whatnot. But with time, you learn to, oh wait, that doesn't work. What can I flex out of this? Oh, this works. This is going lower. This can go higher. What can I do about this? And even when you're looking for a house, are you going to compromise 2,000 to a building that has no natural lighting? Say you have a small child. Or to a building that has no amenities around if you're a family person, and the difference is probably just 3,000. So you have to be objective enough to know, okay, so this will set me back. So what does that mean about my income? How do I work backwards from that level? So which means I need to look for something that will plug this hole. So you work towards it. You're here right now, so we are working towards that point. So remember that conversation I was asking you, what do you do with that 1,000 bob? Yes. So imagine if you're like, this will plug this plug. Now I'm able to afford those leafy vegetables that will increase my iron intake, or that kind of thing. So you need to be honest with yourself about where you are and where you want to be and how to get there. And that can only happen through a budget. So your needs and wants are the same thing. You see, do you want to eat out every other day because your influencer is doing the same thing? Or do you want to curb a distance of 1 kilometer, yet you're paying your gym 10,000? Well, you could just walk, and it will get your heart up. So we have to be conscious. So when we're saying your budget has to be something you grow with as you grow as a person. You can't be rigid. At the same time, we don't want you to really suffer as you stash your money in the bank. You know those guys who pass on they really didn't look like they had going it in life. And then the bank accounts, then again, self-love, especially for girls. We come from a generation where our mothers have no idea what self-love is. I love traveling. So every time I travel, my mom is like, Sasa, hiyo pesa, sunipe. But you have to be thankful for yourself. You have one life and you gotta live it. But you remember, you're living it with according to some principalities. You don't wake up one day and you say you want to travel. It's something you saved for over a span of X without the things, the important things around you struggling. So how do you prioritize? So you have to prioritize in your budget as well. So you got a parent, and even as if you're married, how do you have this conversation? We're both working. So does that mean just because the man is a provider, he bears the brunt of it all? How do you plug it in between the two of you? How do you have an honest conversation with finances with your partner, with your family, even with your folks? If your folks are telling you you have to do X, Y, and Z, how do you stand up for yourself? You're like, it's okay, mom, I appreciate you want this, but for now, I can't do this. Can you give me X amount of time? I work through it. And even you, what are you bringing on the table? What, have you sold the potatoes you planted? Or what is going on? And which reminds me about potatoes. I love agriculture. So if your mom is farming and she keeps on telling you, I'm planting the same seed, productivity will decrease over time. But you know better. Why wouldn't you tell her, Mom, no, this seed can only go as far as 4 times or 3 times. After that, you need to replant. That is the whole reason why they took us to school. If you don't empower them, it's going to be you, because they'll come back to you at the end of the day. I don't even answered your question on budgeting.
Oh, you've even taken us to the farm.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Honestly, Angie, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really feel this has been very therapeutic.
Absolutely.
And it will give me, I'm sure it will touch someone out there. It will give us a chance to start being honest with ourselves.
Yes.
To actually reflect.
Absolutely.
And do it in a very, just honest. I feel like I need to call myself for a meeting.
Yeah, that's how it should be. And you review yourself.
And just reevaluate
even
my habits. Why do I tend to do this? Mbona najinyima sana?
Yeah, what for? How do you live a little?
So
absolutely.
Hard, only not to even have that much like self-love for myself. But thank you so much, Angie. And guys,
you're welcome.
That is the beauty we get when we have the honor of having like an engineer, a lecturer. So I'm so happy, Angie. When I was telling my friends that we are doing, we'll be having this conversation on money matters, it would really excite me, because I really know the value. We need to hear your perspective.
Absolutely.
You have a very fresh way, and a fresh pair of eyes.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really here to challenge our friendship, to challenge the way we're thinking, to challenge us to be better, to challenge us to always be open to growth. We started here, we want to go there. How do we get there? It's not magic. The same way we reversed for exams in school. You had a plan. You say every couple of days you'll go to the library if you were that focused, or every couple of days you will do X, Y, Z. You will attend the class that you can understand. It's no different from our everyday life. How do we cultivate that element of growth, that element of honesty, that element of placing ourselves in the right environment that grow us, that make you blossom? As in, life is so beautiful. Why can't we just always glow and be beautiful? Why do you have to be sucked down by things that do not even involve us? How do you choose what gets in and what you don't let in? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, everyone who made time. Thank you for your time. If you liked our conversation, please remember to subscribe, like this video, share it with someone whom you feel it will have a positive impact on, and we will see you on the next session of Dada Finance.
Thank you.